Okay, welcome to this tutorial. This is going to be for the June 2010 question paper, specifically the access section of the exam paper. So starting from question 7, we're going to use a suitable database package to import this file. Okay, so let's have access open, double click blank database in order to get to the external data facility, which is a text file, and I'm going to find my kites CSV file, which is here. Okay, click OK, and always press next here. And the first row, as you'll notice, is always different to the rest. So we're going to tick this, and it makes it into field names. Click next. Okay, and the next step, we'll just check with the question paper. Make is text, model is text. Let's do that. Make is text, correct. Model is text, correct. Okay, next one. Size is numeric, 1 decimal place. Okay, this is called a double. We'll leave it as double. The reason being is when you have a decimal place, it's classed as one number there. The second one is a double number. Therefore, the data type is correct. So we'll leave it as double. The decimal places we can fix later when we're in the design stage of the database. The second one is currency. Okay. Now this is going to be currency. It's not a double because we have more than 2 digits. Okay, so we're going to change this to currency. And the next one is text, integer and boolean. Text, integer, and the last one is zeros and minus ones, so it's like yes and no, boolean. If you're not sure what this is, you can always know by looking at the example. The example here, text, double, currency, text, number, and look, we have yes. So we know that it's a yes and no logical boolean. Okay, so let's go back to our database. That's boolean. Next, does it ask us for a primary key? You may add another field as a primary key if your software requires it. Well, I don't think we need it, so we're going to say no. Click next and click finish. Okay, and we can get rid of this. Okay, to get rid of this, okay, we're going to do the lower close. Okay, so lower close is this, and it just closes that table that we do not need. If we look at our table, we have it here. The first thing we'll do is we'll make sure that this is 1 decimal place and this is yes and no. So we'll go to our design view, go straight to the format for yes and no. So yes, currency, let's just double check on the exam paper again. 2 decimal places. Okay, so decimal places, let's change that to 2, and then the size was a 1. We go to table view and say yes. If you want to save this, now find yes and no's here, and we get the double as 1 decimal place. That's fantastic. Okay, so we've fully completed this task. And now we want to do a screenshot showing the field name and data types used. Print a copy of the screenshot, make sure that your center number and parent number are on the printout. So normally you have an evidence sheet. So what I advise you to do is go to design view, and you want to show where you've made the changes to your data types. Now in this case you have a few things that you've changed. Now it would be wise to do all of them, however one will be suffice. So doing 1 screenshot here would be enough. But to make sure you get full marks, you could do a screenshot of this, screenshot of this, and a screenshot of that as your evidence. Okay. So I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to carry on with the tasks. I'm going to skip this, it's quite straightforward to enter the records. Okay, you just scroll down to the bottom, and where the star is, that indicates that there's a new row. Okay, so you just type in the data, going diagonally, okay, or horizontally. Okay, the reason for this is just don't have any hiccups later on. Below, type search to run this. Okay, so you may find that because I've missed these two out, the rest of the queries may not be completely accurate. Okay. So in order to save this, you can click save, and that will save the database. What I normally do is do a little close, and you'll notice it will save that automatically. Okay, 144 records, which was the same as before. Okay, now we're on to our report. Produce a report which shows all the fields from all the data. Now what I generally do, I just get a marker. I would highlight which ones are queries and which one you do in the report. So this one here is definitely a query. Okay, so if I can just use a marker. So this here, query, this bit is query, this is query, this would be query. Okay, fits on a single page, but that will be reports. Of course, I'm going to highlight that. The page orientation landscape, reports, sorts of data in ascending order. That's definitely a query task. Calculates the total value of these kites and shows total at the bottom. Now that's going to be reports. And doing the format to decimal places, you can do that here, but we'll do that in reports. Include the heading, that's report task. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll tackle this report. But first we're going to have to create a query. So to create a query, go to create, query design, and we'll have this pop-up. This pop-up says what tables we have. We only have one table, so we add and close. We make this bigger so you can see all our field names. Double click each one. All there. Choose. Okay, great. That's the question. Let's do this one first. Contains a new field called value, which is calculated at runtime. Now what that means is when you click the run button to check that your database query is working, that is what is meant as query at calculate at runtime. So in order to do a new field, we're going to click in the spare column here, and what I always do is use the builder. So the builder is such a quick way of building a calculation that is required for this exam. So this field will calculate the price times or multiply by the number in stock. So quite obviously we have to have our table. So this is called database 4. Let's open that. Let's go to our table. And when we expand that, we can see our J10 kites table. So what the question is asking is we want to have price times number in stock. Okay, so double click price and it automatically fills in, populates the formula, and we're going to times that by the number in stock, and that's it. You just click OK. So it's formulated that value for you automatically, and just to double check it works, let's calculate it at runtime. and you'll see, and you'll now see that the new field has been created. Okay, and you may think it's not working, but if you scroll down, okay, it's in descending order, I think, so it's just first values are 0. The problem is, it's called expression 1, so we want to call it value. So just quite simply go back to design view, and you highlight this text, basically value, and click enter. Okay. Just make sure when you're typing in your field name, what could be a basic error is if you have your insert key on your keyboard on, what will happen is as you type, it will replace the text in front of it. Okay, so when that happens, okay, it's not a problem with access. Just make sure you've got your insert key selected. Okay, so run that, and now it's called value. Okay, so that's brilliant. Now the value field has a set currency with 2 decimal places. Now when you run it, it already has 2 decimal places, but in case you don't know how to do it, there's 2 ways of doing this. You simply make sure you're on the column, and where it says the property sheet, it might not always appear, so to make it appear, it's under design, property sheet. Okay, so we want to change the format to currency. Okay, in this question paper, doesn't really highlight whether it's pounds or dollars, so I'm going to assume it's pounds, and 2 decimal places, which is here. Run. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and the next one shows only records where the skill level is beginner. Okay, so skill level is beginner. No. Okay, so we're going to skill level, type the word beginner, exactly as it is in the question paper, click enter, and because it's text, it automatically puts it in quotations. We'll click run. I'll do a run, just check that it's working fine. Because at any point, if there's any problems and you do all the tasks, you will not know which point was incorrect. So at the moment, value is working, and that criteria in the query is working. The next one shows all the fields and their labels. That's actually a report task, but to make sure it's done in the query, you need to make sure all of these are ticked. If you untick this and click run, you'll notice the skill field has now disappeared, but it still works as a query. You're just not letting your user see it. Okay, so let's have that ticked back to where it was, and let's now begin the report. Now a good tip is to always save this query as the question. So little close. Yes, we want to save this, and I call it question 41. Now, a common mistake is when you're doing your report, you go to report wizard, and because you've not selected your query, you start doing your report as the whole table. Now the problem is you'll have all the data, not the query selected. So there's 2 ways: either start by clicking on it once and begin your report, but if you did start it this way, you can also change it to question 41 query by selecting it here. So the question said it wanted all field names. Okay, so let's just do a double click, double arrow to have them all selected. Click next, and click next. And I think it wanted something in some sort of order. Sorts the data into ascending order of make. Okay, so ascending order of make. Now I actually highlight this into as a query task. We can actually do it here as well. Okay, whichever you prefer is entirely up to you. So let's click next. The page is going to be landscape, so we do need to make a little amendment here. Click next, and this is where you should put your report title. Okay, which has a heading of kites for beginners. we go straight into the final report view. Now the question did say shows all the fields in there labelled in full. In that respect, it means can you see all this in full? No, you cannot. There's definitely an issue here. So that's something you need to address straight away. So if you close print preview, it goes into design view. Now some people find it easier to amend their field names here. But I prefer to do it in layout view. Layout view, you just see it more clearly, and you can highlight the whole column, and you can adjust it and move it so it looks fully visible and professional. And so I'm just going to quickly move this one. See it being moved. And let them go. Move them. So it is a bit fiddly. Basically. And then it's probably easier to just select all this. And move it all. Move it all there. Great. So in the exam, this might take some time to get absolutely correct, but it is essential to get the full marks. And as you can see, it's probably taken me about a minute, 2 minutes or so to get absolutely correct. So this line is obviously the end of the page, so we can move that across there, move the values there, which now allow us to see this column which was previously unavailable. So that's wonderful, it works and looks great. Moving on, we now have this part of the report to do. Calculates the total value of these types and shows this total value at the bottom of the value column. Now this is quite an easy task to do, although it seems quite complicated. If you go in Access, you simply want to click on your value field. You want to find the total of this. Now the quickest way of doing this is just simply right click, you go to total, and you have all these options. Now in different exams you could be asked the average, you could just be asked how many records there is, the maximum number, the minimum. In this case it's total, so sum is the total. And once you click that, it puts it in the report footer. It puts it there for a good reason, because if you put it in the page footer, you'll get an error message. Just to see what that looks like, you put it there, or did it manually? Okay, let's go to report view. You'll notice that you'll get an error message. So let's put that back in the report footer. Now the report footer was originally like this, so you just need to make sure you pull it down to get access to put in any sort of text boxes or labels in there. So we'll go to report view again and just check that the value is there. Now it's already put it in the correct format, but in case it wasn't in the correct format, okay, that can be quite simply achieved again using the technique I showed you earlier. So the question's asking for has a total value, which is done, is in currency and has 2 decimal places. It also has a label called this. I'm just going to current value of stock. So first of all, let's go to property sheet. Make sure it's clicked, and we'll have currency selected, and we have 2 decimal places. Okay, so that's great, as we saw earlier. We now need to create a little label for this. So if you go to label, and just draw a nice little box, and then this is going to be called current value of stock. Boom. And value of stock. And just make sure doesn't overlap your calculation. Professional. And what you'll have is 1 mark for this, 1 mark for the correct calculation, and 2 mark for the currency, and I think another mark for decimal places. So potentially this part of the report is around 5 to 6 marks. Okay, so a mark for his, a mark for the label, a mark for the currency, a mark for the correct value, and 2 decimal places. And we've done the heading automatically. We just need to do this: candidate number, sentence number, left of your page. Okay, so look at this. And go back to design view. Okay, and we'll just get the label again. Okay, so just put your candidate number and sentence number. And just take a quick check. And again, it's 1 mark for getting that right in the correct area. Okay, so that's that report done. Okay. Now, moving on to question 42. To simply print, you just go to print preview, okay, and just click print, and that's that question done. We now need to move to the next question. Don't forget to save your report. And this one is to produce a set of labels from all the data. Okay, so this is from all the data, which means the whole table. And it may look, okay, the keyword is may look like this. Okay. So again, let's see if we need to do this as a query. And yes, that's definitely a query. And this you can do either between the query and the report. Okay, but we'll just do it in the query. Display the field name as well as the data. So that's definitely when we do our labels. And as sorting in the single price, we'll do that as a query. Include the heading, okay, so we'll do that in the labels. So in order to do labels, let's do our query design first. So query design, we have table, add, and close. We double click each one. So doing this, so we'll have all the features of the database. Now the first one was shows only records where the use contains snow kite. Okay, so where's use? We'll type in snow kite, click enter. And what I would do is, before we go to stock item, it is yes. I'm just going to run that. Okay, brilliant. So 4. You may have more, but brilliant. So we add all the records, but stock item must be yes. Okay, so yes. And let's just run that again. Let's get that 3. The next step was to put price in ascending order. Okay, so the price, go to ascending order. Nice. Brilliant. Okay, and the next step was to only show make, model, size, price, and when. Okay. So we'll just save this as question 43. Alright, and then we click on the query number, and then what is different about this one is when you click on labels. Alright. And always pick the first one because it's 2 numbers across. Alright, and in a way it may look like this, but I don't think it will mark down if you select 1. But let's get it right and do 2 and do next. You'll get no marks for changing the appearance unless it asks you to, which hasn't happened yet. And now this is the bit where we're going to do make on a separate line to the rest. Okay, so make goes first, and you click enter on your keyboard to go to the next line. So a label is what you find on a letter, and it's used for mailing people. So we do model, enter. If you don't press enter, what will happen is, so size, price and wind, size, price and wind, it'll all appear in one line. Okay, that's not the way it should look. So if you enter between each one, actually it won't let me. Okay, so I didn't know that. So I learned something new. You're going to make sure you do one at a time, so price, after you press enter, and then wing. And now it's asking you to include the heading special offer on this kite at the top of each label. So we'll do that in the design. Click next. Sort by, now I've already sorted it by price. Okay, so if you want to do it again, that's fine. But I'm just going to leave it because we've already done it. Okay. And then we're going to give our reports a name. Special offer on this kite. Click finish. Now straight away you will see that we have 3 only. What we want to do now is put the heading at the top of each label, and what I like to do as well is have these squares appear, okay, so it just looks more obvious that it's a label. So we're going to close print preview, we're in design stage, alright, you could go to layout view as before and change the layout, okay, in the middle, alright, but in this scenario it'd be easier working in the box here. So let's put that in the middle. Let's put the label that's required, which is special offer on this kite. Special offer on this kite. And if you wanted to make it in the middle, and you go to home and you have all your usual formatting and properties here, okay, so no fill, black text, bigger, but again you will not get any extra marks for this. Let's go back to design, and the next question is we need to put our name, sensor number and the net number at the bottom of each label. So again we're just going to use a label. You're going to have a name, candidate number, right, and in order to get that nice little box you just simply go to your drawing tools. Drawing tools is somewhere here, here we go, rectangle. Now we just draw a nice little rectangle. Don't panic, when you let go it will be on top of your label. So just right click and just send it back. Okay, so if we now have a quick look in preview, you should now see your labels look as requested in the question paper. Occasionally people make a mistake and go to report view, and they assume that it's not working because you can't see them on both sides of the page. This is because it's in report view and it's zoomed in differently. To make sure that you've got it right, you just simply go to print preview, and that's what it will look when it's printed out. So it is correct, so don't panic. Okay, do a little close. That's saved. And to print these labels, you just click on print. Moving on to the final stage of the database section, we've got quite a small task, which is produce an extract from all the data, which is going to be your sites table, and you only want the following things. Okay, so let's go into Access. Let's make sure our table is selected. We're going to go to Create, Query Design. Okay, so the same procedure as before. Add the table, close, add all your field names, double clicking, and let's tackle the first question. Small kites of size 3 or less. Okay, so just be careful with the wording. So we go to size, and it's going to be less than or equals to 3, and just do a run, and you can check that it works. So if you get an error message, say you did it the wrong way around, equals to or less than 3, and click run, you'll get an error. Okay, so you know you're doing it the wrong way around. Okay, the next one, so let's just highlight that's done. Those suitable for beginners or intermediate users. Okay, so which one was that in? Well, that's in skill level. Okay, so beginners or intermediate. Okay, so let's go into design view, and let's just type it exactly as it is in question. Beginners or intermediate users. Let's just see what happens. Beginners or intermediate users. Now users, actually it wasn't in the criteria, so let's just do beginners and intermediate and stop there. Click enter, it automatically puts it in quotations. Let's run, and you'll find it's just highlighted as beginners. There must be no beginners under the criteria. So next part is in the next part of this extract. We need to do those where kitesurf is not in use. So if we go to our access and run it, we can see that we've only got 4 records. So kitesurf is being used here. So when we do a query, we want this to disappear. Now we could just type in buggy in the criteria, and that would work just as good. But in order to do this the way it's asking for, we want to use not. So if we put not kite and click enter and run this, you think it's still not worked. The reason why it's not worked is we have 2 words here called kitesurf. So even though this is the correct logical operator, which is NOT, kite is not the full definition. Now you can go in and type surf, and that would be okay. But the other way, quick way, would be to use a wildcard. A wildcard is if we just type the word kite, so we're looking for anything with the word kite, and then put the wildcard, which is the star, and click run. That again does the same criteria search. So I'll just show you 2 ways of doing that question. So that's correct. Shows only the field's model size and use. Okay. So we'll go to design view. So we only want to show model size and use. Model size and use. Run. Nice and small, and then we want to sort the kites from largest to smallest size, would be A to Z. Okay. Click run. Does it make no difference because it's all the same. And the last question is save this data in a form which can be imported into a text document. This then leads on to putting that into a Word document. So that's the end of the access section. So just to show you how to have this ready for Word, okay, let's look close, say yes, this is question 45, and all you do is you right click and export as a Word RTF file. When you do that, it'll ask you where you want to place it. Click OK and click close. You then open that and you can then import it or copy and paste it into your Word document. Okay, that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and listening.